Hi, my name is Thais Gibson, and I'm the creator of the Personal Development School. This is your Daily Breakthrough video, and in this video, I want to talk to you a little bit about why it's so difficult for dismissive avoidant attachment styles to ask for help in relationships. And by help, I mean like help with their needs, support, help them with chores, help them with, whatever it might be, why it's so difficult. And what the answer really is to this is that it has a lot to do with being rooted in fear of needing to rely on others. So for dismissive avoidance, some of the biggest fears that they carry at a subconscious level of mind are fear of vulnerability, fear of being neglected, and sort of assuming neglect as a result of their past experiences, and then fear of having to be in a situation where they rely on somebody else and then they feel trapped, or they feel like they're sort of being let down and they're helpless to be able to be taken care of, because that mirrors so much of their early childhood. So if you are the partner of a dismissive avoidant, or you are a dismissive avoidant, how you actually work through this is by reconditioning those fears across time. And that can seem like a very scary thing to do if your subconscious mind is like, no, I want to hang on to these fears because what I don't want is to have to rely on somebody and then be disappointed. And that will ultimately, for every area that we choose to do that as human beings, block our growth long-term tremendously. And if you think about the way or the reasons we have fears to begin with, are because those fears are serving us in some form, or so we think, right? If you have a fear of being vulnerable, okay, well, that's serving me to stay safe and protect myself. If I have a fear of, trusting somebody, okay, well, that's serving me to be safe and not have to be let down, or whatever it might be. So every fear that we don't want to give up has a justification for doing so. But if those justifications are based off of things from the past, 10, 20, 30, 40 plus years ago for different individuals, sometimes even longer, then that's not a very reasonable reason to keep your fear alive now. So what I would ask you to do is, if you are somebody who's really scared to rely on somebody else, to ask for help, to communicate what your needs are, or if you're the partner of a person going through this and you just want some insight into understanding, so much of how change has to happen first is we have to rewire the emotional associations next to the thing that we're doing. So what that means in other words, from a subconscious reprogramming perspective, is if we see this thing that we hold on to as having more benefits to us than drawbacks to us in our lives, we are going to try to continuously hold on to it. So if we think that it's more important to protect ourselves by never asking for our needs and never relying on somebody or receiving support, then that's where we're going to run into problems long term. But if we can actually see, hey, you know what, not asking for help, not asking for support has a lot of drawbacks for me long term, then we're just shifting our stored emotional associations next to these ideas and concepts. And through the repetition of this over time, we fire and wire new neural pathways. And if we stop investing in these old stories or belief patterns, the old neural pathways, they atrophy over time. So hi, I just wanted to jump in here really quickly and let you know that we are doing one of our most exciting promotions that we do during the entire year. And it is our lifetime promotional sale. So basically, the lifetime membership to the Personal Development School gives you access to all of the 55 plus courses we've ever recorded. And I record a new course and create new content every single month, and it will give you access to all future courses. It also gives you access to all of the daily community events we have: group shares, social events, guided meditations, guided morning and evening routines, communication scripts practice for communicating through challenging situations, and the 4 live webinars that I do with our students every single week. So at any point when you have a question, you're able to jump in there, ask me a question, and we have a history of webinars on a whole bunch of different topics. So it's basically endless content. And the really nice thing about the lifetime promotion is not only do you get to continuously learn for life, so that gives you the safety and comfort of knowing that you can rely on anything that you need in terms of going through a challenging situation, be it a breakup, be it a really rocky time in your romantic relationship with somebody. If you're looking to work on boundaries, some sort of change in the workplace, we've got courses for that as well. So there's all these resources at your fingertips for life. And that promotion is going on right now. You can click the link below for almost 50% off. And I would love to see you on the other side. Come join me in the webinars, come ask me questions. And thank you for watching this. As we're diving into this a little bit, one other thing I want to say is sometimes people who are partners of DAs will be like, I support my DA partner all the time, or I try so much. And it's a funny thing because it's true. Like DAs are often very much attracted to, in romantic partnerships, quite supportive people. But DAs are not necessarily expressing their truth about what support looks like for them. And they are not necessarily like properly receiving support. So people can dote on them and be kind and thoughtful and do nice things. But sometimes the things that truly make a dismissive avoidant feel supported are not the things that they're communicating about. And so it's almost like sometimes if you're the partner of a DA, it can kind of fall on deaf ears, like you're giving to somebody who's not even fully receiving, because it's not exactly what they want to be receiving. And they're not telling you because they don't want to rely on anybody. And so they're not communicating about it. So it's just important to keep that in mind. So anyways, you would start by looking at what the costs are of not receiving support. So what are all the downsides of not communicating, not being vulnerable, not sharing my truth with another person? And what are the upsides of relying on somebody else? And if you look closely, dismissive avoidants have this idea, like a concept that basically says, the moment I rely on another person, I am no longer self-sufficient. And that's not true. These are not mutually exclusive things. We can rely on other people and rely on ourselves at the same time. Like we can rely on somebody else, and if they aren't there or they can't come, follow through with something or show up for something because they have their own issue going on or their own challenge, then we can go back to self-reliance because we're fully equipped there. But we can, if we need it and if it feels right from a romantic partner, if we need support or help, or we have a question, or there's something we don't know and we need to learn, we want to be in relationship to that part of our lives where it feels safe to rely on other people. It feels safe to ask for help or ask a question or be vulnerable or put ourselves out there, because if we don't, then there's a tremendous amount of cost. So some of those costs look like, I don't get to learn through people, and people are an amazing source for learning. I don't get to feel truly supported in my life around the things that matter to me. I don't feel understood by other people in my life if I'm not expressing my truth. And you can go on and on. I don't feel seen and known. I don't feel like people truly care about me sometimes. I'm constantly walking on eggshells and in this self-protection mode, and sort of reiterating to myself this idea that I'm unsafe because I can't rely on other people. And the more I invest in that, the more that's going to sort of reinforce that in my life. So try to take a look at some of the costs. And then the next thing would be do a little bit of exposure work, like expose yourself a little bit to a little thing around vulnerability each day, like practice being a little bit more vulnerable, asking for support, asking for help, asking for a need. And of course, this has to be a two-way street. So encourage your partner to do this also, but collectively, this will actually facilitate more communication in a two-way relationship overall. And when a partner does give the need that you're asking for, try to practice like actively receiving. So practice really taking it in, like, oh, this person's really showing up for me. Like that feels really nice to receive, and try to consciously take it in and feel about it. And this is, again, sort of helping move the needle to rewire those emotional associations you have tied next to this concept or idea of what it means to put yourself out there and then receive your needs being met. And the more you do this in a two-way collaboration with a current partner, or it's something you can do with a friend or family member if you're not currently in a romantic relationship, the more you're developing this bond in a relationship where you can lean on each other. And again, this is not mutually exclusive to also relying on yourself, like when your partner's at work, or, when somebody's going through a hard time and it's not an appropriate time to ask for something. So by doing this together, it allows to build that mutual reliance along with that self-reliance, because you're knowing yourself, you're actually finding out what your needs are, you're sharing them, and this helps you become more conscious of them in the process so you can meet them yourself at the same time. And over time, this will actually build healthy communication across channels in the relationship to deepen the bond, to deepen the connection, and actually feel safe and known in a partnership long-term. So I hope this makes sense. Thank you so much for watching and for being here. Please like, share, and subscribe if you haven't already, and I will see you in the next video.